Hu haya omer. Right, so now we're on 13. In the art school, it's on page 548. Hu haya omer. Nagid shma. Right, you talk about your name. Avod shmai. If you talk about your name, you destroy your name. Udolo mosif Yosef. And if you're not increasing, you're decreasing. Udolo yaliv kot lachayim. And if you're refusing to teach, kot lachayim, you deserve to die. Udish tamesh betoga cholaf. And it's your tamesh, if you make use of the crown of Torah for your own purposes, cholaf, you're cut off. A person who seeks a reputation, who seeks fame, right? You always want to put yourself out there. So last was how you deal with God. This is how you deal with people. It says, what kind of person are you? How do you want to interact with other people? So he says there's some people who their whole life is about, again, it's all about me. How do I make myself famous? How often do people hold themselves up and they become the targets of other people looking to destroy them? If you put your name out there over and over and over, right, there's an idea of modesty, there's an idea of holding back. There are places that you are compelled to serve as an example to other people, and if you give tzedakah quietly, then all the other people who are like you might not give tzedakah, because if they assume no one is giving tzedakah, then they don't feel motivated. But if you put your name on a building, then they will feel motivated to put their names on buildings too, because they need to keep up with you. Or maybe they're good guys and they see that you're willing to do it, so they're willing to do it too. So I'm not saying that it's not necessarily that all public, that all public appearances are of necessity evil. Right? That's also why, but that's why he says Nagid Shema, a person who's talking about his name all the time. That's not the braggart we're talking about. Right? I mean, you have to be able to distinguish between the two. You'll ask yourself, or you'll ask a Rav. We saw the previous Mishnah. Also, Rav. Right? Ask a Rav, is this an appropriate place for me to put my name out there? Is it acceptable for me to be a public figure or spokesperson in this place? And there's places that it is. That I don't think is the mistake. I don't think that's the mistake that Hillel is referring to. We all know the concept of the self-aggrandizer. The guy who, again, it's all about me, and you need to think I'm famous, and I feel like gaining my name. We write the Mishnah what he saw the other day. It says, how do you get greatness? Greatness is echol malacha. Greatness is to love work, hate status. Don't hang out with the in crowd. Right? People think that greatness is having your name out there. Right? I want status. I want people to look at it and say, I'm the guy. It's Whitkin Stadium. I want my name everywhere. I want to be in the press. The bigger you put your name, the more you talk about yourself, the more you brag about yourself. He says the more that you put your name out to be destroyed, that it gets trampled on. People, no one likes a braggart, right? No one likes the loud, boorish guy who's all into himself. He says, Udulo Mosif Yosef. If you're not going forward, you're going backwards. There are behaviors that are appropriate in a 4-year-old that you don't want your 12-year-old to exhibit. There are behaviors in a 12-year-old that you don't want your 16-year-old to exhibit. There's behaviors in a 19-year-old that you don't want your 25-year-old to exhibit. Growing up in a secular world, right? I know 22-year-old guys, the things that we did when we were 22, it's like, grow up. But when you see a 48-year-old guy doing the same stuff that he was doing when he's 22, it's painful, right? It's like, there's a point in your life that you got to grow up, right? That every day, what's expected of you is a target that's moving forward, right? We all started learning, most of us came into this, 15, 18, 20, 25 years ago, 30 years ago, right? To hold a place in life that's appropriate when you've got 2 or 3 or 4 years of learning under your belt, to come back and look at yourself 20 years later and say, I'm in the same place, I haven't moved forward, is painful, right? You're going backwards. That in your ability to learn, to teach, to relate to your kids, to your wife, to Torah, to Mishnayot, to Halacha, right? I mean, I'm not saying that, at a certain point the steps become small and become incremental, right? There's only so far, you can go so fast, so far. You know, when my kid was 12 and he grew 4 inches in a year and complained that year he'd only grown 4 inches, I had to show him that if you continue to grow 4 inches a year, right, if you do it for 5 more years, you're going to be 7.5 feet tall. It's not going to happen. At a certain point, he's close, but at a certain point, you know, you're still growing, but it's got to slow down. Delo Mosif Yasef means what's expected of you goes forward every day. Every day, what the standard that Hashem holds you to, that people hold you to, but really what Hashem holds you to, it changes. Right? That you should be more refined than you were. You should be a little more considerate, a little more understanding. You should have greater depth today than you did yesterday. And if you stop growing, then you're going backwards. Right? You can't just say, I'm done. You know what? I've learned enough. I'm going to coast from here on out. You know, the old glory days high school athlete. You know, there's only so long, you know, you can survive on the fact that when you were 17, you know, you were important. At a certain point, you know, you can't live on high school glory. You can't live on what you learned 10 years ago. You have to keep moving incrementally forward. And for especially those of us who are, you know, are grown-ups, who are dads, or it's like it's easy just to settle into a rut. And every single day you're just living the life that you lived yesterday. You know, I'm doing my job, I'm eating dinner, I'm playing with my kids, I'm talking to my wife, and there's no difference. I haven't refined myself at all since yesterday. And you think, you know, for the most part, it's very difficult to make any sort of major refinement from today till tomorrow. So you forget that you're supposed to. And that incremental lack of refinement, at a certain point, you look back and say, where am I today versus where I was a year ago? Do I know anything else? You know, have I grown at all? Have I covered any material? Have I made any progress in my life? And you find yourself that, you know, if you're not moving forward at all, so in some ways, this is the hardest. If you're not willing to share, if you are so self-focused that you think that what you are is yours, you know, the story of the guys in, you know, the crowded buses in India, you know, a bus stops and there's 700 people in the bus, and, you know, the doors open and everybody fights to get in the bus, and soon, you know, everyone in the bus is fighting to keep you out, and as soon as you get on the bus, you turn around and start pushing the other guys out too, because all you care about is you. As long as I get there, I'm fine. As long as I'm healthy, I'm fine. As long as I understand, I'm fine. Your life is not my problem. He says, you're done. You deserve to die. That you were created the same way that God created you in order to give you pleasure. He created in order to give to you, to bestow to you, to lift you, to teach you. Your obligation is to teach. It doesn't have to be big. It doesn't have to be often. But the way you need to react, again, we saw when you're in Ochev Shalom, when you see people around you, your job is to give to them, to lift them. And if you're not willing to, if you think that what you have and you understand is about you and only about you, what do we need you for? Right? What do we need you for? And worse, he says, Udishtamish b'togo halaf. And a person who thinks that all of the good, the Torah that they've learned, everything they've built, that it's just a tool. It's the end. It's not a tool. Right? You're not supposed to use Shabbos to prepare for Sunday. Because Shabbos is your taste of Olam Haba, right? Shabbos is not about what can come out of it. It's what's in it, right? The same thing, the Torah, I am not learning Torah in order to make money. I'm not learning Torah in order to get something else. I'm learning Torah in order to make God's presence in the world real, to lift myself, to connect to people. It's not an instrument. It's the thing itself. That you're reversing the world when you take, you know, the thing